9 invisible money habits are quietly keeping millions of people poor. And here's the uncomfortable part. Chances are you're doing at least 3 of them right now without even realizing it. Some people earn 6 figures and still live paycheck to paycheck. Other people earn half of that and somehow build real wealth over time. The difference isn't income, it's habits. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which of these 9 habits are quietly draining your money and the simple fix for each one. No jargon, no unrealistic promises, just the truth about where your money is actually going. Let me show you what I mean with 2 people. Same job, same salary, same city. Let's call them Sarah and Mike. Sarah gets her paycheck and immediately spends on rent, bills, subscriptions, eating out. Whatever's left, she saves. Some months that's $50. Some months it's nothing. Mike does something different. The second his paycheck lands, he moves 10% straight into savings before he pays a single bill. He treats it like rent. Non-negotiable. 5 years later, Mike has a real financial cushion. Sarah has almost nothing, even though she earned the exact same amount. That's not luck. That's habit number 1, and it's the one that quietly decides everything else. It's called paying yourself last. Most people pay everyone else first. Landlords, phone companies, credit card companies, restaurants, whatever's left over, if anything, goes to savings. The problem is, there's almost never anything left over. Lifestyle has a sneaky way of expanding to swallow whatever income is available. The fix is simple to say and harder to do. Pay yourself first. When money arrives, move a percentage, even just 5 or 10%, into savings or investments before you touch it for anything else. Automate it if you can, so it happens without relying on willpower. Think of it like a subscription you can't cancel, except this one pays you back. Now let's talk about habit number 2. And this one might be controversial, because debt has become so normal that most people don't even question it anymore. Here's a fact that surprises people. In the United States, average credit card interest rates have climbed above 20% in recent years, according to Federal Reserve data. That means if you carry a balance, you could be paying back far more than you borrowed, sometimes double, depending on how long it takes you to pay it off. The habit to watch for is using debt for things that lose value the moment you buy them. Clothes, gadgets, vacations, dinners out. If you can't pay for it in cash, buying it on credit often means paying a premium just for the privilege of having it now instead of later. That premium can quietly eat away years of financial progress. This doesn't mean all debt is bad. A mortgage on a home or a loan for education that increases your earning potential can be reasonable tools when used carefully. The distinction is what economists sometimes call good debt versus bad debt. Good debt can build value over time. Bad debt just drains your future income to fund your present comfort. A simple rule that helps: if you can't afford to pay for it in cash, ask yourself if you truly need it right now, or if you're financing a want. But the next habit is the one that ruins people the fastest, because it turns a small problem into a full-blown crisis overnight. Habit number 3 is not having a financial buffer. Life is unpredictable. Cars break down, jobs get lost, medical bills show up uninvited. Financial experts often recommend building an emergency fund covering 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, kept somewhere safe and accessible, like a high-yield savings account. Without this buffer, one unexpected expense can force you into debt just to survive a temporary setback. With it, the same emergency becomes an inconvenience instead of a crisis. Building this buffer connects directly back to habit 1. Paying yourself first. That automatic 10% doesn't have to go straight into investments immediately. Many people build their buffer first, then redirect future savings toward long-term investing once that safety net exists. Now here's habit number 4, and it might be the most overlooked one of all: not actually knowing your own numbers. Think about it like trying to lose weight without ever stepping on a scale. You can have good intentions, but without data, you're just guessing. There's a concept in economics called lifestyle inflation, and here's how it really feels. You finally get that raise you've been chasing for years, and somehow, a few months later, you're still broke. Sound familiar? That's because as income rises, spending quietly rises right along with it. Bigger apartment, newer car, more takeout. 5 years later, you're earning far more than before, but you're no better off because your expenses grew exactly as fast as your income did. The fix here is uncomfortable but powerful. Track your spending for 1 month. Just one. Write down every expense, even the small ones, that coffee, that forgotten subscription. Most people are genuinely shocked by what they find. Seeing your numbers in black and white tends to trigger real change in a way vague awareness never does. This next mistake is the reason many high-income earners still stay broke no matter how much they make. Habit number 5 is spending heavily on hobbies or lifestyle upgrades without evaluating the long-term cost. This isn't about telling you to never enjoy your money. It's about being intentional. A hobby that costs $50 a month is very different from one that costs $500, especially when that difference, invested consistently over 20 years in a diversified portfolio, could historically grow into a meaningful sum, even though past performance never guarantees future results. The goal isn't to eliminate joy from your life. It's to make sure your spending reflects your actual priorities, not just habits you fell into without thinking. Now, habit number 6 connects everything so far, focusing only on saving money while ignoring the other side of the equation, earning more. Here's the math problem most people don't think about. Saving has a ceiling. You can only cut so many expenses before you're left with nothing more to trim. But earning potential doesn't have the same ceiling. You can ask for a raise, build new skills, start a side income, or grow a business. Historically, people who focus on both sides, saving a reasonable percentage of income while also growing that income over time, tend to build wealth faster than people obsessing over coupon codes alone. 10. This doesn't mean saving doesn't matter. It absolutely does. But treating saving as the only lever you can pull often leads to frustration, because there's only so far it can take you. It's like trying to fill a bathtub while ignoring that the faucet could simply be turned up higher. But this next habit might be the single most expensive one on this entire list, and almost nobody talks about it. Habit number 7 is one people avoid talking about: not understanding how taxes affect your money. Taxes are often one of the largest expenses across a person's lifetime, larger than housing for many people, yet most people never study how the tax system actually works. You don't need to become a tax expert, but understanding basic tools available in your country, like tax-advantaged retirement accounts such as a 401k or an IRA in the United States or an ISA in the United Kingdom, can legally reduce how much tax you pay over your lifetime. These aren't loopholes for the wealthy. They're publicly available tools, often underused simply because people don't know they exist or feel intimidated by the paperwork. A quick real-world example: contributing to a traditional 401k in the U.S. reduces your taxable income for that year, and the money grows tax-deferred until retirement. That's not a trick. That's the system working the way it was designed to work. and it's available to almost anyone with access to an employer plan. Habit number 8 is waiting too long to invest. Here's a fact that tends to surprise people. Because of compounding, starting 10 years earlier, even with smaller amounts, can historically outperform starting later with larger amounts. Compounding rewards time in the market more than timing the market. Money sitting in a regular checking account often loses purchasing power over time due to inflation. Historically, inflation in many economies has averaged somewhere around 2 to 3% per year, sometimes higher. That means cash sitting idle isn't neutral. It's slowly losing value even while the number on the screen stays the same. This doesn't mean rushing into investments you don't understand. It means once you have your emergency buffer in place, delaying the decision to start investing, even in something simple like a diversified index fund, often costs more in the long run than people realize. All investing carries risk, including the risk of loss, so this isn't a promise of returns. It's simply a reminder that time can be one of the most valuable resources you have. And now, the final habit. It might sound like the smallest one on this list. It's actually the most dangerous of all, because it hides behind every other habit we just talked about. Finally, habit number 9, and maybe the most dangerous one of all, simply not caring. Avoiding your finances altogether, not checking your bank account, not opening that student loan statement, not thinking about retirement because it feels too far away. This habit is dangerous because it's silent. There's no dramatic moment where it hurts you, no alarm bell, no warning sign. It's just years quietly slipping by. One day you look up, and a decade has passed, and none of the other 8 habits were ever fixed, simply because the topic felt too overwhelming to face. The fix is small and doable. Spend 15 minutes this week looking at your accounts, not judging yourself, just observing. Awareness is always the first step before change becomes possible. So let's bring this together. Paying yourself last, leaning on bad debt, having no financial buffer, not knowing your numbers, overspending on lifestyle, focusing only on saving instead of also earning, ignoring taxes, waiting too long to invest, and simply avoiding the topic altogether. 9 habits, and every single one of them is fixable, starting with awareness and one small, consistent action. None of this requires a finance degree. It requires attention, consistency, and a willingness to look honestly at where your money actually goes. Small habits, repeated over years, tend to matter far more than any single big decision. If this video helped you see your own habits a little more clearly, consider subscribing for more practical, no-nonsense breakdowns like this one. And if there's a specific money habit you're working on breaking, I'd love to hear about it.